Good morning, everyone. Happy having a great, wonderful July 2025. We're already near the end, final few weeks before all the parents out there before school starts. So we have a little bit more time left of the rest of summer. And the market gets really interesting at the end of July because this is a very seasonal period in which school season starts to begin. Then you have a lot of buyers who haven't purchased yet or haven't chosen their new home for the next school year or this and that. There's still some lingering buyers out there who are still actively searching. And then as the sellers are out there, they're still kind of desperate. If they haven't sold during the peak summer period, the days on market are climbing. We're finding that maybe this is starting to be where they're starting to see a little bit more price reductions going on if they're really that motivated to sell. But I have a couple of things that I find is interesting, so I'll go through that when I get to the economics of today's sales class, today's sales training, I'm sorry. And I do want to make sure we cover a lot of different other things that I wanted to cover there's new June forms from CAR. And so if you wanted to cover the new forms that we have, these are the tools at our disposal. I'll cover some of the new ones that are just right now released in the zip forms fresh. So hopefully this will be a nice introduction to you. And I'll also be covering today a case study on a lawsuit which did have basically it was a landlord who served a notice to a tenant, a 3-day notice to pay or quit, and they got the eviction honored by the courts. However, through the appeal process in California, the tenant actually was reversed the decision, and there was some reasons why. So we have a really good revision on how landlords who hopefully it's not you guys being property managers, it's landlords who are suffering from a 3-day notice, a delinquent tenant do your 3-day notices properly. So I'll cover that update as well. It's hopefully very helpful and insightful for those of you who kind of just help on the sidelines, tell and landlords a little bit about how to manage their property and their tenants. So that's a little tidbits for today's sales meeting. Hopefully you can stick around. And out of respect for our affiliates who are here with us, I do see Scott, you're here. You're on time and one of the first ones, so I appreciate you being here. I'll start with you and thank you for pulling over. I did listen to you when you put a little video warning on the very beginning of when you log in. Scott was the one who told me, make sure you have a driving disclaimer on your Zoom. So every time you log into my sales meeting, it does say do not drive and Zoom at the same time. Anyways, you pulled over, Scott. You're listening to the instructions. You're a safe guy. Share what's going on in the mortgage industry.
All right, guys. So I want to talk about credit today. So they are changing the way I'm talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They're changing the way they're using a different credit model. It's like an update. I don't have all the details, but I want to say this about that. Okay, if you have a client that's kind of on the borderline of whether they're going to make it or not, right now is the time to get pre-approved because typically what'll happen is you get pre-approved, and then when all the new changes kick in, a lot of times they'll give you a grace period in order for you to be, on the old system. But when this new system comes in, I think they're taking a rents into account and different other factors of credit. Um, you know, you want to get it done now, like I said before, it gets to where it changes, and all of a sudden they don't qualify anymore. Then you lose a buyer. So if you have a client that's on the borderline with credit, or they have shaky credit, I know a really great person who actually does fix credit. It's not, and it does take some time, but I know someone who's really, really professional at doing this. And just think ahead. When you're talking to your clients, sometimes they'll even tell you they don't think they have good credit. Don't let that stop you. Tell me, just talk to a guy like me, and we'll run the credit for them, and we'll see if we can get them to the finish line. So yeah, so credit, it's a big deal.
I hear you on that. Thank you. I think your friend was it Adrian at American Credit Repair or something.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah. I think he gave us a class one time. I think I referred a client or two to Adrian to take care of it. And I put a link for a decent source if you want to get your free credit report annually, you want to monitor what's going on. I think creditkarma.com is a decent option if you want to monitor and click in and see what your credit report looks like. It's not a bad website. It's not going to be invasive, or I think it's a soft pull inquiry, so it shouldn't be impacting your number of credit inquiries. But definitely check what's going on. Not only do you get insight into your FICO scores, but you also get insight into your payment history. How many late payments are you delinquent? How many balances are you carrying and utilizing how much revolving credit? So in terms of general advice for those who are renters or those who are trying to set themselves up for success to purchase a property and qualify for good financing and the best interest rates available by lenders like you, Scott, you want to make sure you're getting your FICO scores up. Get your FICOs hopefully in the great tier, above 780, above 800, and you'll be getting better overall rates for 30 years on your rates. So it makes sense. So don't have too many lines open, don't have general advice for you would be always pay your not just your minimum balance, pay your full statement balance in full. If you want to carry a balance, show $1 that you carry. So that way it kind of just shows your utilization. And then extend your credit a line of credit amount. So if you're only qualified for 5,000, ask your credit to review your income, and you can submit for increases to your credit, and that will show less utilization over a long period of time. And obviously, make sure you just correct any discrepancies or monitor the last several months and years and see if you um, have any late reporting or bad reporting from some firms or companies out there that you've signed up for a JC Penney card and you forgot to pay it off for a few balances and now it's adding up. A last piece of advice is for credit would be if you're a renter, you have the ability to request your landlord to provide positive rental payment history using the form that we have just recently been added to all of our rental agreements. It's the notice of background and positive rental reporting payments. So every lease contract does have mandatorily that disclosure inside the lease contract, and a landlord, except if they're just a small landlord with two properties or less, they are exempt. But if they have several rental properties, they must report all the positive rental payment histories to at least one credit provider so that the tenant can start building credit through their landlord reporting positive rental payment history. So,
Can I expand on what you said,
yeah.
Kelvin? On Okay, so on the utilization, two things. One is on the utilization. So what Kelvin's talking about is if you let's just say you owe $1,000, and let's say your credit limit is 2,000, then that's 50% utilization, right? But if you own this same $1,000, but you have $10,000 worth of credit available to you, like credit card limits and line of credit or something like that, then you only have 10% utilization. That helps your credit score. That's one thing. And then two, um, when you're there's that old saying about when is the best time to plant a tree, which is 20 years ago, right? Same thing with buying a house, same time with fixing your credit because it does take time to fix your credit. So the best time to start fixing your credit is right now because if you wait a year, it might take 6 months or 9 months from a year from now, as opposed to, you know, starting it now and then next year you're ready to rock and roll. Time flies, and these clients that you have, if you start off letting them know that you're trying to help them out, trying to get them into a property. Hey, all these things are going to help them get into a property. Now, that's going to get you into a sale faster. It's also going to help them build equity faster. So, yeah, don't wait around. This is a good opportunity to call your clients that have been talking about they don't think they have good credit. So, That's my thing. I'm going to put my contact info in the chat.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
And
Go ahead
yeah,
and
thank you very much for letting
part of
us
us as
participate.
realtors, yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Part of us as realtors is helping our buyers get qualified and hopefully qualify for more so I can sell them a better property. So
Exactly.
I help the buyers and the renters really help out their situation, and I think they'll be hopefully loyal to you. I want to call on our next affiliate. We have Angie Tang over here. Go ahead and
Right in here. Hi. Hi, everyone. Angie here.
yeah.
You want to come in? And I got the baby eagle.
Hey guys.
Not so baby.
He's tall. Yeah.
He's a tall eagle. So this is Rick from First American 1031, and I'm Angie, your title person. So today I've got these really cool sips of the summer, really cool things that you can hand out as well. And there are some really amazing, delicious cocktail recipes. So
Ooh,
this is a
frozen.
fun thing for the summer, and if you need some extra ones for door knocking or whatever, maybe we've got them for you. And then Rick, he does 1031.
1031s. So any guys that have any questions on 1031s or reverse exchanges, please feel free to reach out. Angie and I work hand in hand, so anything you guys need, we're at your guys' service.
Thank you.
I had one question on Rick, if you
Yeah,
don't mind. Just
of course.
has the recent Trump announcement on the tax reform is anything affecting 1031 exchanges at all?
No, everything,
All
yeah, everything still applies. Yeah, business as usual.
all right, all
Good
right.
question. Great question, actually.
Okay. So I heard really great things from Angie about you, Rick. So
Thank you. Yeah.
pleasure
Thank
meeting
you.
you in person. Thank you
Likewise.
for coming all the way out
You
here.
Thank you, guys.
We'll schedule a class
Yeah,
with you.
definitely.
I'll schedule with you in maybe August, September. We'll find
Yeah,
out.
whatever you guys
He could do reverse too from first.
Exactly. So
Awesome.
whatever you guys need.
Okay.
Thank you guys for having us. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. See you later.
All right. Let's see if I got any more affiliates on the room. Does anyone have anything you want to say or talk about? Any questions? I think that's it for today's sales meeting. I didn't share the link with them today, so it is kind of light, but thank you. You guys all have your notices every 2 weeks, the same schedule. It's the same link, guys. I haven't changed the link for the last 5 years since the pandemic. So the link has never changed. This is it. If I have not updated the sales meeting date, please remind me. But I do always try to update it every month or two. Okay, so we're ready to start the show on the sales meeting, and the first thing I usually like to cover is a little bit about upcoming events and sales trainings and educational opportunities available to you. So let me get into my screen, and I might need your help really quick. Does anyone see the Arcadia Association of Realtors website right now?
I can
Yes.
see it.
All right. Okay,
see it.
so the AAR has a few couple of events coming. They have a YPN mentoring moments. This is on today at 10 a.m. right now. So I'm s- they actually changed their date. Okay, so we have a guide to jumpstarting your business in difficult times. That's July 29th next week, 11 a.m. And this is Elevate Real Estate Excellence. Okay. We also have what's other important things? Maybe there's some LA County joint AOR Association of Realtors, Wildfire Relief and Recovery, Part 3. This is the third part for the installment that they've been doing. This webinar has been helping realtors navigate, rebuilding zones and how to recover and rebuild your properties or give some information to your clients who've been suffering from the wildfires. So that's pretty cool. If you don't know a little bit about how to evaluate a commercial property, well, maybe go come to this commercial mixer. I think the commercial classes at the AAR are excellent. They're going to teach you in this class how to derive the net operating income. Obviously, you just take the gross income, subtract all your expenses, subtract all your taxes and insurance and whatnot, and that gives you your net. But it's not so easy. Listen to a pro, listen to how commercial real estate has different types of leases, whether it's a gross lease or a triple net lease, whether there's modified percentage leases on sales, like it's shopping malls when a landlord takes a percentage of the gross receipts. from each retail transaction. So if you want to learn about how they do this, derive this formula, learn about the NOI, why is this net NOI important, guys? Because cap rates are based on the net operating income. So cap rates is what the commercial industry always talks about and tries to analyze a good deal or a solid investment. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, hey, you need to mix with the commercial guys. All right, so here's an opportunity to give back and bring a backpack to a new student who's in need. You're going to learn about the RPA. I always like this class. If you're newer in the business, less than 12 months, or even if you haven't read the new contracts, learn from a really pro, Joel Carson, excellent teacher. He's a broker as well, but he has a very legal hat, and he teaches this free class for you on August 11th. You can get a text 1031 exchange class over here. I personally would prefer Rick at the First American, so we'll invite him over in a month or two. And that's the upcoming for the next month and a half for AAR. But this one sounds interesting. 50 plus standard disclosures required. Okay, so that's why you see my growing list on my checklist for your sales. Well, that's because they're adding more and more forms, and we have more and more disclosures that are applicable for different types of situation circumstances on each sale. So learn the tools that we have. These disclosures do help prevent liability for your client and yourself in the company. So that's really why we just need to know how to properly use them, and that's something that I'll also cover when I train in my Tuesday classes. All right, the West San Gabriel Valley Association of Realtors also has some local events. And if you want to learn about the buyer representation agreement, they have a 3 hour class with bundling with the listing contract. They have a property management summit coming on July 30th. This is open to brokers, a sexual harassment training. I was invited that, managers as well. And how to use AI productivity to improve your productivity as a realtor. So this is a nice artificial intelligence class, and that's the upcoming schedule for West San Gabriel. And part of the events coming up is the Reimagine conference. I'll keep this in front of you because it's coming soon. This is your annual Realtor event, the biggest one of the year. Reimagine 2025 is coming soon, and this time it's going to be held. Let me get the dates for you. September 15th. Okay. So on September 15th, they're going to have a broker conference. This is productivity, business practice. They're going to have sessions for trainers. Lunch is included if you pay for the lunch fee. And so September 15th is a good time to check that out. And um, that's the pre-conference day. There will be I think it's going to have a couple of other topics the following days as well. It's a 3 day event usually, so you'll learn a lot about the legal updates and different types of technology going on. So they're still putting together the lineup, just putting the date in front of you. And I believe there's a free ticket pricing as well if you're a member of CAR. And the free days would be 16th and 17th. And you can click on this link. I'll go ahead and share it in the chat box. Any questions? Okay, let me get to my chat box controls. All right, so I talked to you about a case study on tenants. And so I know this is not a training situation, but it's important. Can someone see my screen, the quick guide, 3 day notices? Thank you. All right, Tony. So this is a situation of a case study in the California Courts of Appeals. So the case of S has I'm going to tremendous, I can't even pronounce, Eshagian versus Cepeda, held a judgment where the tenant did fail to pay rents. The original court favored the landlord and and ordered the eviction for the tenant. However, through the tenant's appeal process, they found that the notices that were used originally did not comply with California Civil Protection Code 1161, paragraph 2, because it did not set forth clear rules for payment, including to whom and to where. So a lot of landlords are just downloading something from Legal Live Zoom or what these websites online where you get free notices that they can download, and they fail to pay an eviction, an experienced eviction attorney or someone very good experienced property manager who knows all the California proper things. Guess what, guys? If you order something from or a free download from a random website, it's probably not designed for California law. Number one. And remember, California is the most stringent against landlords, most favorable to the tenants that we've seen escalate over the last 10 years. So therefore, make sure your notices are performed properly, served properly in the right order, with the exact issues of what's called where to pay it and to whom. So this goes out to all of you people who have obviously a lot of you renter have put together rental agreements. You know landlords who own property. You've sold properties and you know they have income properties. First of all, my advice to you is don't be their property manager because there's a lot of issues when you associate yourself with the serving of notices, when you give them the legal guidance when you're not an attorney, and you provide them forms that you did not prepare or give them the exact order of ways to do something. And I don't want you to be associated with blame when a landlord like this suddenly gets what's called a decision reversed on their eviction and having to give back the property to a tenant that they just successfully evicted. There's all these things that you could be responsible for and held liable in the courts because giving your bad advice to a landlord or bad practice as a property manager, and that obviously tenants are angry. So tenants go to these free tenant representatives who support them in building a case against the landlord and the agent. So don't get involved. You can write the lease contract, let the landlord manage that property, or hire someone else who wants that liability. I personally do not. In any case, what was the problem with the original case study? Well, in this case, the notice that the landlord gave, which is a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit, they did not, right here, this tenant lost the possession of the property if rent was not paid on time after service of the notice. And they did not clearly inform the tenant. And the word clearly is, to me, gray. I mean, clearly could be obviously taken in many different areas, but if you do not say we will take the possession away from you, then we will basically call the sheriff's office and lock the doors and you all of the what the procedures that happen after the 3-day notices. Well, if you don't specify this, that is insufficient information according to this case study. And the notice did not state when the notice period commenced or ended. And so they didn't know that the 3-day period may be excluding weekends or not, or holidays or not. So I know this is adding more responsibility to the person preparing the notice. That is why I don't like you guys filling out a 3-day notice for a landlord. I don't want you to be responsible for not specifying that it excludes weekends and holidays. Okay, so that's another reason why you guys should not be preparing these for your clients. Okay. And the notice did not provide a clear address where rent could be paid or at a place and time where someone would be available to receive it. So if you fail to meet these three other problem areas on notices, the tenant, if they really have a good tenant representative helping helping them fight the case, you could probably be held liable and you're going to lose your eviction. So, even though the tenant hasn't paid for 5 months of rent, the landlords are continuing to have to deal with these issues. So, if completed correctly, they're giving you some steps. Okay. Well, the notice to pay rent or quit is called Form PRQ now. So if you search your zip forms and search property management, you'll find PRQ. And this has language now that says pay or quit was not sufficient. And now they want to write failure to pay or surrender possession. So that's a clear presentation of the alternative. Um, lastly, the first sentence of the paragraph 3 states, if you do not pay the past due amount or give up possession by the legal required time, legal action will be filed seeking damages and possession. So this satisfies the new laws. I hope you take a look at the PRQ and do not use the old notice to pay rent or quit form. That's why we continue to pay our dues, pay our legal attorneys, update our forms, and now have legal compliant forms that will help our transactions. Now, the 3 day period begins and ends when? Well, within 3 days, starting the day after the date of service of this notice and excluding Saturday, Sunday, and other judicial holidays. You are required to pay rent, which is already past due and is served on X date. So, day X date, when you serve it, that's day zero. And then the next day after that is day one, and then day two, and day three. So easy to count. They just added that language. And the third item in here that says the place and time to pay rent, or maybe send it through electronically. I'll give you some ideas on that. But if you pay rent directly to, do not put the company address, Arcadia branch or Temple City branch, as the address to pay rent. We are not a property management firm. We do not collect rents. We do not deliver notices to us. We do not want to be held in conjunction with any of your properties or rental properties or of your clients' properties as well. So, anyways, make sure you are just having your own property address or PO box, or let the landlord be the one responsible. This is where the notices in this case didn't specify on what hours to be that they can deliver this and whatnot. So um, if you're gonna, usually a tenant does not want to mail this because they may not mail it in time. They want to pay that rent and they want to pay it exactly on the same day if they're behind, so that way they don't get evicted or lose possession. So give clear instructions where and at what times they will be available and have someone available during those times. Sometimes landlords allow tenants to electronically pay them through Zelle or through their direct deposit into their bank account. And sure, it's very convenient. It's nice when the tenant pays, and I can look into my bank account and boom, a deposit has been made. And they zelled it, this and this and that. That's good, convenient for a performing tenant. But a non-performing tenant, a tenant that you wish to eventually go through an eviction process and you want to send them a 3 day notice to pay or quit, and you want to get them out of your property for because maybe they're a breach of contracts. Electronic payment may not be a good idea because if you were, for example, they satisfied their first 11 months of their lease, you wanted to give them a notice of 30 days or 60 days to terminate the lease. Well, the first thing you want to do is not accept rent payments from them when that 30 days or 60 days comes today. And if they happen to make those payments and you accepted the payment through your electronic payment, because the electronic payment accepts any time, they're not going to deny that payment if they have the right bank account number and they have the right Zelle information number. So if you're accepting that payment, you're not going to be able to perform the surrender of premises, termination of the property. So that's a reason. That's just one reason why you do not want electronic payments for your rents. But if it's a good performing tenant, it's great. I do have it with one of my tenants. So it's up to you and based on you know your tenants better than I. All right. So that is a quick discussion. I spent a decent amount. Any questions on this topic of notices, 3-day notices, pay a rent, evictions, anything on your mind? If not, I'll move on. Okay, I see none. Um, if you check the link right here, I have a CAR June 2025 forms release, and this is a quick summary, which I'm not going to cover all of them. There's too many forms that have been modified, but I do want to highlight a couple of different things so you can learn a little bit and know where to find it when you have time. Click this link right here. This is a summary of all the forms that have been revised in June 2025 in the chat box. And if you want to take a look at a couple of highlights, I did download a couple of them. So if you look right here, there's a new form here called an NDA. If you guys of you in commercial real estate, great, you already know what an NDA is. And if you've done any business transactions or sales, if you worked with any lenders or if you have any off-market commercial properties, anytime you deal with this, we want a confidentiality agreement to be signed by the other counterparty before we release information, data about something like a business sale or an off-market listing or a commercial sale. That maybe I have what's called sensitive information. I know this shopping plaza has rents of 5,000, 6,000, and 10,000. I know it has expenses of certain amounts. I have the profit and loss. I have the sensitive information on notices and financials about a company. These are all confidential information that a landlord does not want to publish to the world how much the rents are and how much is they're making income or the list of employees or the number of employees. A lot of sensitive information should not be published in the MLS or other public web-facing websites when you have a sensitive business or a operating commercial property that has rents. Kind of like what's called an apartment building. If you have an apartment building and you advertise that I have 10 units that are paying me 2,000 a month and I have 11 units paying me 1,200 a month, and then you have one person that's paying some exorbitant amount, like maybe $5 a square foot, and then this person looks on the website, finds out the property's on sale, finds out they're being singled out as the only person paying high amount of rent compared to everybody else. This person might have an action against the landlord for discrimination or price gouging or whatever the story they want to allege. And so if you have rents on multifamily, even a triplex, you are potentially putting the landlord in a position of having to face the consequences of the tenant finding out information that's published in the MLS and other websites. So that's why you, as a responsible person, needs to get the landlord or the seller's permission and consent before you submit active in the MLS. Why don't you show that listing to the seller and let them get the blessing of the information that you're putting out to the public before you push that publish button? It would be very helpful tips for you to make sure this landlord says yes in writing or the seller in writing says, okay, publish it, good, I'm ready. And a lot of times they're not going to look at it very detailed. But at least you've got a communication response that the landlord says, yes, go ahead and put it in. The seller says, yes, we're ready to go active. All right? That's just some good practice for you. So, if you want to disclose something like the price of the property or the financials, personally, I don't use this commercial NDA because I already created my own NDA. It's already uploaded in the drive. But if you want to use this one, this is a simple one. It's one page. Mine is like 3 pages and requires multiple parties to sign it. And it's more designed for a commercial transaction as opposed to this one. This is just multi-purpose use. Okay. All right, let me get to the, oops, I'm sorry. Let me get to the next new form available to you in your Zip Forms library. And there's an NCA, New Construction Advisory. This is a new property where subdivisions have a lot, phase number 1 or 2, 3, various problems or issues that a new developer may have at the end of their new construction. So I asked this form for any new construction you sell to a buyer. Let the buyer just sign that there could be changes made by the seller. I've heard this happen where the floor plan or something that was designed in the original floor plan was removed. And because of the builder does have the discretion to make some changes, the buyer was not happy that they suddenly changed the layout or they changed the material. And sometimes you just don't want that. So I suggest you add this to your contracts and just one other type. Did someone raise their hand? Let me see if I'm gonna lower my hand. Something I don't know why. All right. So that form is available to you. Another one to talk about is called the LDAA, Liquidated Damages and Arbitration Additional Signature Addendum. Okay, so this is complicated, but just reminding you. Remember, you have a party A, a seller, and you have a buyer. Let's say they both agree to a contract. Yes? Party one, party two. Well, let's say the buyer says, oh, I want to add my spouse. I want to add my family member. Well, you're going to add them using an assignment of agreement form. And that assignment of agreement addendum is going to add the name of spouse to the buyer. A plus B is purchasing the property. Great. That assignment is there. But 99% of the time, many of you agents allow the contract to be in a gray area now. Because although you executed the assignment addendum and you executed the ratified contract, guess what happens to the contract on the liquidated damages and arbitration, which happened to be initialed by the original buyer A and the original seller the original buyer B, the spouse, did not initial liquidated damages and arbitration in most cases have I seen, and therefore you have a gray area that's now caused by the realtors for failing to identify that there is initials here and we need to add the additional signer to go in those boxes. So that's why you use a transaction coordinator like me. That's why you use someone who's knowledgeable about these forms and contracts, because if there happened to be a dispute 1 year after sale and then they want to fight it out, buyer and seller, that's fine. Our job was done. Let the buyer and seller fight it out. But if the liquidated damages and arbitration signature addendum was um, failed to be initialed or by all parties, their realtors could be added into the complaint. And that's what I hate for something to happen in stuff like that. So this is a box where you can add additional signers who are either added or replacing the original buyer A. All right? Any questions? All right. Let's get to the next one. APD form, amendment to a prior disclosure. If your TDS or SPQ says no evidence of any moisture or claims against the property, or let's just say the landlord or seller says I have no knowledge of any defects, and they write no knowledge. Boom. Next question. Blah 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 blah. Suddenly, the seller receives a home inspection report from the buyer because the buyer's asking for repairs. Let's just say they're asking for a credit of 5,000. Okay. Or they want to fix some walls. They want to fix something. Okay, great. Buyer sends a request for repairs. Then all of a sudden they read the report and they recall and they remember something that triggers their memory. Well, does a seller just leave the TDS alone? No. If the seller remembers something that should be disclosed, that's material to the contract, material to the decision of a buyer to make this purchase, then the answer is yes, you need to disclose it. Yes, we do not have to do a whole new transfer disclosure statement, TDS or SPQ. All you need to do is add the amendment to your prior disclosure, add it to your SPQ or check the box TDS, and add any memory of anything that changed during the last week or two. When you read the report and suddenly you want to disclose something, you want to get it off your chest as a seller. I do not want to be held liable for defects or failure to disclose something. So I want to get it off my chest while the negotiations are still going on and the inspector already called something out on the report. You might as well get it off your chest, report it, give them a disclosure, allow them to review it while you're thinking about your response to the repairs, and put it in front of the buyer. Okay? Use this form, and it's new. Any questions on that? Does it make sense? Okay. I hope
Yes.
so. Okay. We have an addendum for everything, and this was now called addendum generic. This is a use for any principals to modify compensation that was previously agreed in a listing or a buyer's agreement. And so let's just say your buyer is purchasing a home, you ask for 3% from the seller to be paid for your compensation. They counter you out at 2%. Well, do you have to revise your BRBC? You could, if you want to use form MTBR, multiple pages, or you can add this addendum to this one contract and use addendum generic number one for the property at 123 Main Street, Alhambra. Buyer agent agrees to reduce my compensation to the seller's counteroffer, which says 2%, and I agree. Buyer agrees, and I will not charge the buyer the excess amount of the BRBC form that I asked for 3%. Therefore, for this specific one offer transaction, we are modifying this compensation because the seller is only giving out 2. That's what it means. That's how you use it. You execute it with just your client, and that's the purpose. Anyway, that's what it is. New forms. If you want to look at all the other new forms, I couldn't download all of them. They're in the quick guide. But if you do look over here, they have a SIPA, which is a seller in possession addendum, SSLA, the SUM, all of these SUM and SVRA, these are short-term vacation rental addendum. These are all new contracts and available for your disposal. Just check them out and read them. It's in the quick guide if you want to. Any questions? All right. So we covered the forms, we covered that material. Let's get into some of our new listings. Oh, I did want to announce one thing. If you reached my email this morning, we had a really cool little shout out to Coldwell Banker Dynasty, and there is a Super Summit coming on August 12th, 9:30 to 5:30. If you want to go, regular price admission is free. Obviously, the luncheon and the mixer portion might be a fee, but if you're a non-member you could just do the regular price admission for free. If you want to just take a look at a general admission, take a look at what's going on, but you're going to miss out on some of the keynote luncheon speakers. You could register and view what's going on. Click the link below. What I wanted to share was this little article here from the Los Angeles Business Journal. Last week's article just announced Coldwell Banker Dynasty as a top 40 firm. I think we ranked number 37 in LA County. Nothing to brag about, but it's just noteworthy that there's thousands of firms in LA County. Thousands. Okay. We're in the top 40. So you're with a good firm. We got some recognition for your production. It's all thankful to you and all of you guys collectively putting us in the top 40 of the LA County. Okay? One of the biggest markets in the nation. Not too shabby. Let's talk about the MLS stuff going on. So, let me go ahead and close this right here. And I gotta log into the CRMLS real quick. Does anyone have anything pressing or issues or situations or anything you want to talk about while I get this ready? All right, nothing. You guys are quiet today. I do see three things in the chat. Nope, it's just me and talking to myself. All right, guys. We got our active listings. Let's talk about it. Thank you for your patience. We got a couple of different properties. 1126 Stone Street just came back on the market. It's active. We're going to have open house this Saturday and Sunday. This is a price of $715,000 for a three-bedroom in Los Angeles. Not too bad. You can still have a single family under at three bedrooms. This is a remodeled property, guys. If you take a look at 1126 Stone Street, you can just take a look at the inside. You have a full single family. Inside looks beautiful. Newer floors, brand new walls. You've got new paint and the whole works. This is listed by Gilbert Del Toro. Talk to him if you have any clients looking to be right here near the Ramona Gardens area in LA. And any questions, just ask Gilbert. Okay, new appliances. I like the gold handle theme on the backsplash. Very cool. All right. Congrats on your listing. Gilbert, we have 6159 Camellia Avenue in Temple City. Just got a price reduction down to 2.18 million, 180,000. And it's a four bedroom. This is a nice Temple City property just down the street from our offices. And if you take a look, you got a gorgeous entry. Feng shui, the stairs flow right to the doors, but we can't do anything about that. We had a nice grand foyer entry, nice soffit ceilings, nice wainscoting along that really adds elegance throughout the modern feel of this home. Very open floor plan. You have a nice wet bar, and you can see you have a great place to call home for only 2 million. You can get a Temple City home with four beds. This is not old, guys. This is a 2003 property with only 4 days on the market. Recessed lighting. Wow, have you guys seen a pantry under the stairs that has a curved design? That's pretty cool. So in the heart of Temple City, congratulations, Adam Long, on your new listing. Let him know if you have any questions or you want to schedule a showing for this lovely property. It's priced reasonably at 700 under 700 a square foot. So hopefully you guys can join him, take show the property, get it sold, and work this out. I think it's a gorgeous home. Hmm. And 1804 Wilcox Avenue is a new listing in Monterey Park. Four bedrooms, two baths, almost 1.5 million, but you got a nice 8,000 plus lot size. So this is listed with Grace Hua and Sylvia Ramos under two tag teaming this listing. If you check out the property, you got a Monterey Park home up in the hills near late actually grew up in that area. It's near um Elder Gym in and north of on Garfield. And you're gonna have a entry with recessed lighting. It's got higher ceilings and very, very cool. You got a nice granite counters and different types of darker wood themed prop. Anyway, you got a nice single family. It's built 1977, which is relatively newer than most of the Monterey Park homes that are built in the 40s and 50s. And they're going to have open house July 26th. I know you're here. Welcome. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, Grace is not here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next listing. 1804 Wilcox is a nice listing. 3881 Cranbrook Paseo is active for rent. It's a 3650, four bedroom, three bath. And this is a situation that may happen to you. If your listing is not selling, I know Clinton Cheung had his listing here, tried selling it for a little bit of while, couldn't sell it on the market, so now they're gonna just still try to make a transaction for the landlord and seller. And if it's not gonna sell in this market, they're gonna go ahead and just rent it out. So congratulations on Clinton, because you're spinning the transaction. I know we all want a sale, but hey, if the landlord is can't get the price that they want because the market right now is still slower, well, guess what? They can still get income monthly through a renter. So that's what the landlord is going to do. Put it simultaneously for sale and for rent. 227 Santa Rosa Road, Unit B, Arcadia. It's a $1.3 million property for three bedrooms, 1893 square feet townhouse, only 10 years old. And this is right near the racetrack, guys. So if you want to take a look at this brand new listing, it's with Atri Pat. She always has elegant and excellent stuff. So talk to Atri. This is a very small community, and this townhouse is 1893 square feet, three beds. You got a very beautiful interior. It's designed very elegantly for a nice small home. Not small, but it's decently sized at 1900 bedrooms upstairs, and you can kind of get a feel and see that it's well maintained throughout, and should be a great home. Got a nice decorative shower. You got a nice little remodeled backsplash, all that cool stuff. So, talk to her. This is built by Mersol Construction, one of the leading builders locally. And if you have any questions, talk to Atri Pat, and hopefully you get this one in escrow. The next listing we have is 5667 Newberry Ave, San Bernardino. An active listing for single family under 550,000. What a steal. You can get this big single family in San Bernardino, 8,000 plus lot size, three bedrooms, and it does have a vacant so you can move in right away or do some TLC right away. So, open house this weekend. This is a nice listing by Sylvia and Mark Ramos. Just by the way, Sylvia and Mark are not in town. They're out of town this week. They'll be back next Monday. 550,000. And we have another listing here, 1228 Temple City Boulevard, Unit C for rent. It's a three bedroom, two and a half bath, 1,800 plus square feet, townhouse, recently built in 2020. If you have any tenants renting in Temple City, want to take advantage of the school district, take a look. This is really, really great condition, not old at all, very modern, and only 4,600 to $2.54 a square foot. That's very reasonable, especially when the landlord's paying the HOA fees. So take a look, see if you have anyone interested, and get another deal going. We got 11861 Nebraska Avenue in LA, 1.494 million for a 2,000 plus square foot home, huge 30,000 lot size. It's a townhouse, never mind. So anyway, we got a listing by Kathleen Vuong. And this is in escrow, guys. So it's active under contract. Congratulations, Kathleen, in getting it into escrow. But if you want a backup offer, here it is, Nebraska Avenue. We have 3933 and a half Shady Dale, Covina for rent. This is an ADU for 2000 per month. I think this is Helen. Let me see here. No, Julia. So Julia, do you have anything you want to say about it? One bedroom, one bath, 600 square feet. And this ADU is right here. And it's got an open floor plan. You can walk right in. Very reasonable and affordable for Covina area. Okay. And another listing over here is 3831 Arden Drive, El Monte. It is a commercial lease. This is 2430 square feet for a prime location in North El Monte. You can see over here, it's above Valley Boulevard. You have a multifamily property, office building, mixed use, whatever you want to get approved. But anyway, you do have several units here. It's Some of them are vacant, and you can see here a lot of parking in here. So congratulations on your new listing, Amy. I know you're here. Do you want to talk anything about it, Amy? Nope. All right. And the next listing we have is 18031 Gazelle, Callahan Road in Gazelle, California. If you know where Gazelle is, kudos to you. I don't. It's 2.4 million and it's a part of Northern California history. This is 1,000+ acres of lot size for only 2 million. Talk to Henry Liu. Henry, do you want to share anything about this property over here in Gazelle? It looks like it's going to be a lot of lot size. You'll find a 4-bedroom house here. It's a 2-bath ranch house. There's a horse area with a barn and 8 stalls. Great for equestrian use, or if you maybe want to have some planting or private retreat. Maybe you want to live off the grid. Well, this is the spot. So take a look, and I'm gonna warn you again, Henry. I personally would suggest if you did not take this photo, remove it. Otherwise, you're facing a hefty potential violation. So I'll give you a warning to hopefully, if you want to correct it. These two photos seem to be satellite, unless you took this yourself. I don't think you did. 2786 California Boulevard, Pasadena. This is a $4.8 million luxury home, gorgeous, 5,000+ square feet for sale. Open house this weekend. And if you take a look, this Pasadena gem is in the prime area bordering San Marino. So you have California Boulevard right here, and this is an awesome prized property. Take a look inside. It's probably got all the finest stuff you can discover and find. Only built in 2000, and look at these huge vaulted ceilings. That's amazing. The fireplace is great, and a wonderful, comfortable place to call home. Congratulations on Henry Liu on your new listing here in Pasadena, San Marino. 5015 Tyler Ave in Temple City, 3,600 per month for rent, and it's got 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Congratulations to Lorena on her new rental. She's been on fire this year, and I'm just very proud to see her succeed. So here's a rental, 3,600 per month. And 18200 Sandringham Court, Porter Ranch. I know we just got this pending last past week. It sat on the market for 19 days, but I'm very proud of Rodney Ruiz, our agent, sticking through it, representing the seller and getting it under contract. And beautiful home, by the way. He did his photography, excellent. showcases really a very wonderful home, staged tastefully, and Porter Ranch area. Okay, that's the current inventory we have. Just lastly, want to end with some of our closings, and we'll be done for today. So, just real quickly, I just go through a couple of successes and just let you know what's on the inventory of recent sale closings. Let me sort it by date. And here we go. So the first and most recent closing, 212 Oak Place in Brea. Remember I told you about Lorena being on fire? Well, this is Lorena's closing. She just got this one for closing at 975,000 in Brea. So she represented the buyer, did an excellent job, got a full commission, and I hope her buyer's really happy with this wonderful remodeled home. 214 Utica Avenue in Huntington Beach. Super proud of this $1.8 million sale. Joseph Wong, he's amazing. 3,000 square foot, 4 bedrooms, and got a good deal because this seller, I reviewed this one. The seller bought it for more than this price. And he negotiated a Huntington Beach gorgeous home for his buyer, and they have it bought it under what the seller originally anticipated and wanted for this beach house. And you have 10241 Angel Street, Downey. Edgar Contreras just closed this, 810,000, 4 bedrooms. He represented the buyer for this one, and this is a nice new home for his client. 11358 Frankmont Street in El Monte just closed for 898,000. 3 bedroom, large 10,000 lot. Very proud to see this one close. And Henry Liu, talk about perseverance. 250 days on the market and you got it closed and you got near your final asking price. So you stuck through it with your seller and perseverance. Sometimes you got to know in a slower market, it happens. He had to work 250 days to get this going, and you finally get to reap the rewards of your commission. And this rental in Baldwin Park just closed, 4645 La Rica Avenue in Baldwin Park. And this is with Henry Liu. Got this one rented. Good job. And 425 Gladys Avenue, Monterey Park got rented out as well. 3 bedrooms. Julia, good job on your listing. Got full price asking price of your rent, getting it for your clients. Very happy for you getting this one quickly leased out. And 748 Naomi Avenue, Unit F in Arcadia, 4,400 per month rental. And this one was closed. Congratulations to Henry Liu. Awesome job, Unit F. 9734 Rio Hondo El Monte. This was a 2,200 per month rental in a quadplex. So very good job, Steve Hang. You got this one rented out for your landlord and tenant. Excellent job. 2 bedroom. 2960 Champion Way, Unit 405 in Tustin. This is a 2,300 month per rental in Tustin. Congratulations to Julia for going the extra mile to Orange County and getting a rental. I know you debated on whether or not you wanted to go all the way to Orange County, but obviously you're servicing your clients and you're doing what your clients need. That's how you build loyalty. 7843 Danner Court, Rancho Cucamonga, 3,450 per month. Nice 3 bedroom, just rented out. And Cherry Wong got this one leased out. And that's really all of our closings. I do have one coming soon. I'll just put a shout out to my new listing with Euphemia Faye Lee, co-listing this 145 Bonita Street, Unit C in Arcadia. This is an 820,000 townhouse. Still coming soon status. I'll have it ready by next week. Currently doing some paint and repairs, getting it ready for showings. So, if you have anyone looking for a nice townhouse, what's ideal about this location is near the Santa Anita Arcadia Mall and the racetrack. You're also in Bonita Street, which is there's plenty of parking out here, and the HOA fee is only 195 per month. And some of the neighboring units have much, much more higher HOAs. So that's one of the differentiating things. I'll have some more photos when it's ready. But yeah, this is a co-listing with me and Fei Lee. And hopefully you have a client for this one. Let me know if you want to take a look. Any other properties you want to share coming soon, off market, needs or wants? Nothing?
I had a quick question regarding the previous listing that you told Henry to take off the photos.
Yep.
Why?
Oh, I told him because if you go to My Matrix, whenever you sign up for the MLS, Tony, you have to sign an agreement that you have read the terms and conditions and agree to be in compliance with MLS rules. And every realtor has to sign for this. Inside the rules, there's something called photos and marketing. Okay. So if you go to this compliance section for the MLS, they have an area regarding photos and marketing, right? One of the biggest reasons that people will report a listing is because they're using a Google or satellite map that they do not own the proprietary imagery to use a screenshot of a map. And so if I, as a consumer, they do what's called allow consumers to use it for non-business use, personal use. And you go to Google Maps, and I can look up any property and use a satellite image like this, right? And I can showcase it. But if I put this picture in the MLS, it is a clear violation. You can't argue this because this is owned by Google and you do not have expressed written permission to own this photography and media to publish it to the MLS, which gets syndicated to hundreds or thousands of websites. And so anytime I see a satellite photo like this, whether it's from a desert area, rural area, anything like that. Whenever you see any images like this, someone can easily click the button report listing, and then you are going to get a fine of I think it's 1,500 or 2,000 bucks. So that is why me as a broker, I would warn the agent, remove it if it's you don't own it. Because even if you use Yahoo Maps or Bing Maps, all of them are not owned by you. So I don't want you to get a fine because at the end of the day, you're the one paying it. But I'm just here to help. Good question. Any other questions? All right. Well, that's the end of today's sales meeting. Hope you really get a transaction in before the end of summer. So let's get this going. Let's continue the momentum. This is slightly turning towards a buyer's market. I am noticing that not a lot of new listings, but the existing listings remaining on the market are starting to climb up on days on market. So it's still a very balanced market because the prices still appear to be quite relatively high, especially from a buyer's point of view. It feels high. So therefore, it's still not a complete buyer's market. It's definitely not a clear seller's market. It's a mixed market. You're right in the balanced middle. So our inventory levels are still slightly at 3.8 months of rolling inventory. And the moment you're at 4 months of inventory and higher, that becomes a buyer's market. But we're right at 3.8. So that's the most recent statistic that I read on CAR's website for economics. And just letting you know, in California, we're experiencing just what's called modest, slight declines, but the median price of homes in California is still rising. That's the median. but everything is very localized. So just make sure you're every time you're doing a buyer or a seller, just do a neighborhood values, do a quick reality check and see what the pulse of the market is doing because it changes quickly every 2, 3 weeks. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy this topic and sales training. I'll see you guys in the next one in 2 more weeks.
Thank you, thank you, Kelvin.
Thank you, Lois, for being here. Glad to see you.
Thank you. Nice seeing you too.